Hi everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. My name is Marla. Today we're hopping along with Team Tiny. Just click on the hashtag below, hashtag Team Tiny Favorites, and you'll get to see some great crafters that are participating in this hop. Today I'm using the Woodland Buddies from the Not Too Shabby Shop and my Zig clean color markers. Those are my favorites. That is why the hashtag is Team Tiny Favorites, because that is the theme. So I am stamping with antique linen distress ink to get a semi no line watercolor look with these little critters, and I have stamped the mushroom 4 times so that I have 4 mushrooms. And this video is very long because I told you before I am a slow colorer. I take my time and enjoy the process. So I hope you grab a cup of coffee and enjoy this video. Right now I'm coloring the squirrel using some dark oatmeal and oatmeal Zig markers. I like to use water with them, so I put the dark in the corners where I want the shading and use the lighter color up next to it and then blend it out. I try to let each section dry before I move on, so even though I did half of the face, it was a little bit wet, so I went ahead and moved over to the bird. The bird I have used Persian blue, and then later on I'll come back in with some cobalt. Right now I'm just blending out that Persian blue, and then I'm going to go back to the squirrel and do the other side. This stamp set is one that I recently purchased over the holidays. Jamie has it over in her shop. I have wanted it for a while and had just put off buying it, so I'm really glad that I have it because I just think that it's just the cutest little set. I love all of the little critters on this. I will color the squirrel with that dark oatmeal and the oatmeal, and then the fox is going to be colored using mustard and beige. I use dark oatmeal and beige on the sign. The mushrooms, the 2 of them I color with it's like a pale gray and beige, and then I will go in and have to fix a boo-boo that I make and add just a little bit more beige onto 2 of the other mushrooms to fix my boo-boo, and that will make them a little bit different than the other 2. I use dark brown and beige on the hedgehog, and I use dark brown and dark oatmeal on the bunny, and then the lighter colors on the animals, so the bellies and the faces, the face of the fox, I'm going to use a medium beige, and then the hedgehog on his belly I use medium beige, but then I add a little bit of flesh color to add a little bit more shading. I'll color a yellow for the beak on the bird and use that gray on the feet of the bird. And then let's see what else, what other colors did I use? I think that might be it. So I'll go in and I'll do the squirrel. I only show the coloring of one of the mushrooms, and so I'm using that gray color, and I just kind of am going on the underside of the mushroom, and then I'll go around all the little white spots and leave those white, and eventually I'll go back in with that gray very lightly and darken those spots up just so that they're not such a stark white. As I said, I really take my time. I sped this up 4 times and the video's still at 20 minutes, so that just, tells you I probably had 2 hours worth of footage to edit for this because I just enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I think that zigs are really pretty when you just blend them directly on the paper without the water. But for me, there's just something about using the water with them that I just like the finished product. So that tends to be the way that I use them. So I hope you hop along with the other participants in this hop. If you haven't followed before, the reason that Team Tiny actually came to be was because all of us are content providers with less than 1,000 subscribers, and that allows us the opportunity to provide ad-free content, no commercials, for you, the viewer. And we just thought that that would be a cool way for you to be able to sit down, especially over the holidays now, relax and watch several creators create, and hopefully give you some inspiration to do some creating yourself. So all you need to do is click on in the description box hashtag Team Tiny Favorites, and that will take you to a list of all of the other YouTubers that are participating. So I hope that you hop along. I am taking that dark oatmeal and I'm creating some wood grain on the sign so that it has a nice textured feel to it. And I'm blending that out, and you'll see I go over it several times. I'll come back with the dark marker because I just don't think that it's dark enough. Here I'm going in with the bunny. I'm using, like I said, that dark brown. I have not made a dark brown bunny in a very long time, and so I really wanted to do this. But that being said, I really wasn't happy with the way that it turned out. And it's not that I don't like the dark brown, because I really do like the dark brown bunny with the light tan belly. It's just that I personally overworked it. It's not that the paper pilled up. This is Bristol Smooth cardstock that I have stamped on, but it's not that the paper was overworked. It was just I kept adding too much brown, and you'll see that later on where I just can't let it go, and I should have just left it alone. Sometimes we overthink things when we're crafting, and this was one of those times. So I would definitely do the dark brown again, but I certainly wouldn't overwork it and add as much as I did, because I think it's just a little bit too much. So I'm coloring the bottom part of the sign. I did the shading at the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to blend it out and go back to the bunny. As I said, I let things dry a little bit before I go back to them. I do use a gel pen, and I'll show it later on, to color in the eyes of the critters. And I don't know what's going on with my phone, but when I get to the fox, I get most of him colored, and you'll see that, but then my phone just shut off. It wasn't out of batteries, or the battery wasn't low. It had nothing to do with that. I've had that a couple of times where it just it stops recording for whatever reason. So I will show you a still shot where I had finished off. I went in to blend a little bit with the mustard that I use on the fox to create a little bit of texture by his nose, and it didn't get caught on video, as well as a lot of the piecing together of the card. So when I get to the end, you'll notice that a lot of the card is put together, and that is because, for whatever reason, my camera on my phone just stopped recording. So I do have a beautiful Lumix camera that my son bought me a couple years ago for my birthday, and he bought it so that I could film YouTube videos, but I have just not learned how to use it well enough, and I think that that's going to be one of my goals for 2020, is to learn how to use that camera and to start filming with that at some point. So that will be one of my goals for this year, to get away from the phone and to figure out a better process for recording videos. Going back to the finished card, the pieces that you do see that are already on the card, I will have just glued them directly to the card, and then each of the critters, except for the bird, are popped up with some dimensional tape. You'll get to see some of that placement of some of the critters, but a good portion of the card had already been put together before I realized that the camera had shut off, and that obviously isn't something that I can go back and do. So I'm taking some almond pink, and I am putting some pink in the ears and pink on the nose, and I'm going in with this red and coloring this flower. And this is where the mistake comes in. So you see I'm using my number 6 brush, and these are the silver brushes. So I'm using that to blend that out, and then I'm going to move over to the fox. I'm putting, it looks like I'm putting some flesh color inside the ears of that squirrel. So I'll move over to the fox in just a few minutes, and when I do, the fox has a much bigger face, so I decided to use that number 8 brush, and I set the number 6 brush down. Well, what happens is I go into color a little bit on, to blend a little bit on the mushroom in the upper left hand corner, and I hadn't rinsed my brush, and I get some red on that mushroom. So I'm able to fix it, thank goodness. The gray was a little bit too light for me to blend out with that, so I went in with the beige that I had used, and that's where I get the 2 different colored mushrooms. And it worked out really well, because I like having the different colors of mushrooms. It adds a little bit more contrast to the card. So it was a happy accident, but thankfully I was able to fix it, and I didn't have to scrap that mushroom. But when I show you the still shot of all the critters that I had finished up to the point of my camera stopping, if you look in the upper left hand corner, you'll see that part of that mushroom has a little bit of red in it. So we're getting close to that point. I'm just blending out a little bit, and like I said, I really love this mustard color. It really makes it makes a beautiful fox. I'm just taking some medium beige, coloring the tip of the tail, the chest of the fox, and here's where I can't leave well enough alone, and I go back with some more of that dark color, and I just think that I overworked it. I think I just I'll keep going and keep going, and I think I should have just left it. I just used a little bit too much, but hindsight's 20/20, and I wasn't about to stamp it and recolor it again. It was, it was fine to use. It's just not my favorite. So a little bit more blending, a little more shading on the sides, and then I'll pop in with that still shot. I hope all of you had a nice Christmas. We were all very sick, and my husband ended up catching my cold. My son's girlfriend, she caught a different cold from her nephew, and so we all were just a little bit ill over the holidays. I got cold sores really, really bad, the worst I've ever had them, and I have not left the house since I got home. This Monday it'll be 2 weeks, so I have not really left the house for a couple of weeks. I have not felt well, and I have looked horrible. So I'm glad that cold is gone. All right, there's the still shot. There you can see that red on the upper left-hand corner and the little bit of texture on the fox. And now I'm going to color the hedgehog with those with the dark brown and the beige. And then, like I said, I used the flesh color and the beige on the body of the hedgehog. I will add some cheeks, and I use the almond pink and the beige color to blend that out, and then I will go in and add some little freckles with my white gel pen. And you can see that I colored in the eyes of the fox, the squirrel, the bird, and the rabbit, and then I'll take that same pen and color in the eye and the nose of the hedgehog. So I'm just blending this out, and then I will go in and put this on in my brother's Scan and Cut, and I will use that to cut out all of the images. When I use my Scan and Cut, I do leave a 1/4 inch of a white border. I don't cut all the way up because I find that it's just not always accurate, and when you spend this time to color something, you don't want to ruin your images. So I just always leave that little bit of a border as a safety net when I'm doing my cutting on that. And I usually have to cut it twice. I put it on number 11. I put the blade on 11, and I run it through twice when I'm using the Bristol cardstock because it's a little bit thicker. Yeah, see, I'm going back in, and now I'm blending out that mushroom, and you'll see that it's going to be just a little bit different color. And so I take that beige and I darken up another one so that we have a little bit of balance. When I put this card together, I am using, the card base is going to be Nina Solar White 110-pound paper. When I create the scene, I'm using Nina 80-pound cardstock. So I'll create the grass with an MFT scalloped border. They're all cut out. I'll use that MFT paper, Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies. So I cut out that border with the MFT stamp, and then I put it through my die cutting machine with the rectangle to get the stitching evenly around. I'm using this Gerda Steiner Warm and Fuzzy stamp to put on my sign, and using Versamark ink. You can see that, as I said, all of those have already been laid down. They're popped up on pop dots, except for the mushrooms are behind. They're flat to the paper, but all the critters in the front are popped up on dimension with dimension, and then this is going to go flat on top of the mushroom. And there you have it. There's my finished card. I'll show you a close-up of the sentiment. And I thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and leave a comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time. Have a fabulous new year. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.